In tackling the problem of sustainable urbanization, town planners argue that a three-pronged approach is needed, covering the areas of urban regulations, urban planning, and urban finance. If the world's cities are to move from an unsustainable to a sustainable urban future, it is essential to identify and to coordinate efficient and implementable measures in each of these three areas.
I think the most important thing, yes, they are starting from investment. Is a starting point. It's better than not to start at all. And two, when the investment is focused on green development, you have investment, people help you to remove waste, help people, so it means that the cities will function. But what is the role of the government is now to look at those areas that are not market oriented so that they can come in and use it and work on it. It is not too far as long as you can mobilize the people. I had worked in one of the local governments in Lagos, Shomolu local government, and I can see if the people are convinced that what you are trying to introduce is for their own benefit, they will even give their own resources. So what is important, yes, the private sector is coming, then we see how we can bring in the private sector. But the role of who will bring in the private sector, who will bring in the non-governmental organization, who will bring in the professions or the professionals will be the government. And once you have a vision and a leadership within the government, then that can be easily achieved.
Do you think we can have sustainable cities?
Surely we can have sustainable cities provided you do 1, 2, 3, 4. We can have sustainable cities provided we think of not only our future as we are now, but the future of our children and great-grandchildren. Two, we have to ensure that if we don't take some actions now, we are going to pay back later. For example, if you don't build the infrastructure for resilience, good drainage work, good other things, when the flood comes, so many people will be affected. So the cost will be 3, 4 times more. If we think that if we don't take measures, there will be environmental refugees. Just as we mentioned, that there will be 250 million in 2050 in the country. So if we are to have good social network without issues of complaints, without issues of demonstration, without issues, then we need to act now and we need to act immediately.
Good governance prevents conflicts, facilitates stability, helps cities to adapt to future challenges, and is critical for their performance in an increasingly competitive world. Governance is the enabling environment that requires adequate legal frameworks, efficient political, managerial, and administrative processes, as well as mechanisms, guidelines, and tools to enable local government to respond to the needs of the citizen. Local governments have the proximity to translate the principles of good urban governance into effectively managing, governing, and developing a city and ensuring equitable access to citizenship. In contexts of fragility and conflict, local governments also have the potential to build positive state-society relations and deliver services in situations where national institutions remain weak.
One of the key issues is the institutions. The institutions to manage the urban centers are not strong enough to do so because the Constitution has given role. You do this, you do this. But if you go and check the role of the Constitution and the functions, are they doing? That's the most important thing. So even the institutions that are managing, they need to be strengthened and they need to be focused.
The new complexities of the cities of today require a constant and fluid dialogue between institutions on one side and between people and institutions on the other. Relations with non-state actors are increasingly important to ensure a real participatory process and stronger inclusion of all in city decision making. The argument is that the people should be able to hold institutions accountable for the provision of basic services for all. To do this, people need information about decisions taken by local councils and how public money is spent.
The most important thing is that cities have multiple stakeholders. Almost everybody is a stakeholder. And their actions or inactions will really affect the final outcome. I think what is important is that government cannot do it alone. The private sector cannot do it alone. The non-governmental organization cannot be alone. There must be a way that we can amalgamate and we can mobilize, we can ginger all those key stakeholders to agree There is need for vision, there is need for strategy, because not only the vision, there is need for plan, and not only the plan, there must be a strategy on how we can achieve climate change mitigation and adaptation in Nigeria. What is important is that everybody needs to be carried along, and everybody that has to contribute should be mobilized to contribute, because you'll not just sit down there, but is mobilized and empowered to contribute.
The manner in which programs are planned, tasks are organized, supervision is executed, processes are coordinated, reporting is done, and budgeting is undertaken are critical to the functioning of a municipal authority. Indeed, livable and prosperous cities are supported by good local institutions designed according to local needs and financial possibilities. The prevalence of the appropriate checks and balances with clear protocols must underline a sound management system. Well, that's our program for you today. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget you can reach us anytime and anywhere by writing to earthfile@channelstv.com. See you next time.